I will talk something about temples for Zen Buddhist temples. It's not a big surprise to pick up this subject at this point. Helsinki Center has been, and also our Finnish Sangha has been, dealing with this question of temple for a while. It's close to 2 years now, since we inherited this Jukka's property and some other material wealth that we will transfer into the temple. Temple might, the idea, I mean the picture of temple in general, it might cause some people will get angry or will feel anxious or will feel rejecting temples in general. I'm not talking about now people who are practicing within us, but temple is something that has during the human history has caused a lot of wars, temple being destroyed like a trophy. If you destroy a temple that belongs to someone you think is your enemy. There is always it's a strong statement to build up a temple. What is it? Why people do so? Why we build temples? For what? And of course, the answer is for many, many reasons. Maybe that's something that in Zen Buddhism sometimes, when Zen came to the West maybe in 50s or like that in 1950s, it was first practitioners, at least big number of them were people who belonged to perhaps this kind of beat generation. They were standing against society a little bit. They were people who were looking for freedom, and then they found this Zen through the texts and poems and other interesting stories, perhaps koan stories, and they took it and they felt that it represents freedom. And then it was a big surprise a little bit later on when they realized, after meeting monks, priests, teachers from Japan, for example, that it wasn't at all like a freedom they thought, because there were, as we know, bells and rounds of Sesshin that you don't decide how long it is. We just sit, and then finally bell rings and we come up, and still we walk together, kin, and we sit more, and we bow, and we have an altar here, and so suddenly it wasn't at all so didn't feel so much more freedom for those people. And of course some of them left. And some of them stayed. But this outline of this practice looks a bit religious. And it is a religious practice as well. And temples are places that we think religion takes place. Religion is practiced inside in temple. Behind the temple doors there is something going on. Perhaps something that you don't like to be part of at all. So, and perhaps people here also, some of you might also feel sometimes, or we know maybe people, members that sometimes struggles, like momentarily, because we have this sort of religious setting. And we go back and forth that should we take away or should we add more, or what is right way to practice. But definitely building a temple is a quite strong statement. And Zen temple is for what? I think just now if we would go around and ask why, probably you would say that we can sit, that we can have a Sesshin there. I think that's a good answer. It's just that we could practice. That's why we need some place. But Zen is interesting. I like Zen. Zen is. We have different aspects, so to speak. It's not, of course, only in Zen, but in Zen we speak about different aspects of human life, or how to okay, we have a so-called an absolute, we could say an absolute side, absolute, that's deep, unborn, undying, timeless, always new, empty. We have relative side, and relative side is those things that we touch and feel and taste and see and hear, we could say. Life as it is, everyday life is quite relative. And then we also have something that we could say is beyond of those two, which I guess means more like that we are not stuck in either of those. But from the absolute point of view, I guess temples are not necessary. Temples are why? There is one koan that deals a little bit about this temple thing, or maybe there are several, but one comes from the book of Equanimity, Soyuroku, and it is called "The Buddha Points to the Ground." And we will little bit talk about that perhaps. And it starts, there is a first preface. When a speck of dust is raised, the great earth is fully contained in it. It is very well to open new territory and extend your lands with horse and spear. Who is this person who can be master in any place and meet the source in everything? This Buddha points to the ground. So, okay, let's take this case as well, so we get a little bit more information. When the Buddha was walking with his disciples, he pointed to the ground and said, "This would be a good place to build a temple." Indra took a stem of grass, stuck it into the ground and said, "The temple is built." And there is a verse, but we can take it maybe a little bit later. So the Buddha points to the ground. Buddha is in this case, we could think it is really this historical Buddha taking a walk with his disciples. Or it could be anyone else. Buddha is someone who is fully awake, who knows or who lives from the reality of beyond all, let's say, beyond absolute and relative, who can live in any realms, who can go from the absolute to the relative and beyond. Who is not bound by those concepts anymore. Now he is pointing to the ground, perhaps using his staff if he has one, or using his finger. There is this famous mudra where Buddha touches the ground, touches the earth. And I like this very much, this gesture. Buddha is in this, he's still, if I remember it at all correctly, he's sitting, or she is sitting under the Bodhi tree. So it is the time when he was struggling. He was really, we could say, struggling. He's really looking deep into his real, into the true nature of everything. And it's not that easy. So there are many things coming up, many temptations and many fears. And it was also with the case with him, was as it will be with all of us. I don't think we can, in Zen we necessarily think Buddha as someone, before he was awakened, he was like us. That is the one thing in our practice, in Zen practice, that I have understood, so that Buddha and those bodhisattvas and ancestors, once they were like us, and we will be like them, as it is said in one text. So, if this is a religion, and even if we build a temple, it's not the temple necessarily for some kind of supernatural being who is somehow unreachable for us, some kind of, let's say, God-like thing. But this is something very real for humans. I don't know if it's fair to say, but I would like to think sometimes that just practicing and finding out, touching the fundamental, is touching something that is also very human. So we become fully Buddha, we become fully human. Like the potential which everybody has. So, but Buddha was sitting under this tree and was going through difficulties. And then at some point there was this, maybe that was some sort of supernatural creature, at least if we read it from the literally. But there was this Mara, this being that was teasing Buddha, or kind of asking him to follow him, giving up the practice. But at some point Buddha asks the ground to be witnessing that he is touching the ground. He's placing his fingers to the ground, and that's how this Mara will lose the battle, so to speak. Buddha is grounded. He doesn't want to fly away anymore after those billions different possibilities we all have all the time to fly away from where we are. So I sometimes remember this mudra. It just comes spontaneously now and then, because we are sitting like a Buddha. We are Buddha. We are sitting like Buddha. We are Buddha. And the ground is here. We are sitting very close. We are quite well grounded. That's why we sit like on the floor, if it's possible. So this earth is witnessing that we are here. So why we need any temple? Isn't it enough that this earth is here witnessing? I actually talked with someone, let's say 3 months ago, one practitioner, who was suggesting that actually we shouldn't have any temple. We should sit on the park. We should sit outdoors. And I think that person was pretty serious. Then I said, okay, when it's cold, when it's rain, but we just sit there, we have some maybe raincoats. But I don't see that that's the direction we are taking. It sounds kind of romantic, but and it has some value, or it's a good practice to sit on the park, in the park, nature directly there without any extra buildings around. But here he is walking in this koan. He is walking and he's pointing to the ground. Is he pointing to the ground because that's what he did under the Bodhi tree when he was asking the earth to become his witnessing his achievement, so to speak, to be fully here? So he's saying this would be a good place to build a temple. And then this Indra can be many things. So, but Indra is not exactly like some random practitioner. I don't know even what Indra is. I mean, it's so many things. It's in different Asian religions, or at least in Indian religions, it has different qualities, and they are plenty. He's a god of king of the gods, I guess, also, and many things, and also he has some problems. I think he had some drinking problem in some story, and that was. But in Zen context, we I guess we it's a symbol sort of. It's kind of emptiness, all things, all that are, all there is, the phenomenon itself, empty. That's the Indra is representing that somewhat. Also this interconnectedness with everything, the net of Indra. Everything is interdependence of all the rest. So which Indra is in this koan? Maybe that would be good to know. Then we would know why Buddha is talking like he is. But then what Indra does, he takes this punch of grass from the ground, stucking it into the ground again. Okay, temple is built. By the way, have I forgotten something here? No. I mean, I think it was why I remember there was some kind of smiling also in this koan, but now I don't have any smiling from the Buddha. Maybe I have accidentally cut off some words. Who knows? But that was an easy building project anyway. Now we've been 2 years in this, in between, like planning, trying to make it happen somewhat. And as we know, this new turn has taken most likely the place, and suddenly we are really heading towards to real deal that is not that far. And also we have this wonderful plan, which I call the temple of great stupidity. And I think that's our vision still there, is this great stupidity. This temple of great stupidity, I would like to ask Buddha what he likes about our plan to build up this temple of great stupidity. I don't know. I mean, this Indra's version seems to me quite stupid also. It's just a bunch of grass. It's more like the one that the person I talked with was suggesting, that we sit in the park. I prefer more like one that has a roof and several rooms and running water and luxury thing. This is koan. So what it means? It means that if you happen to work with this koan, like any koans, the way I used to work, or still working, I guess, with koans is became so. I mean, maybe you have another way to deal with koans, but in my case, I think it's something like, first I try to be like the Buddha under the Bodhi tree when he touched the ground. First, there is this open, unborn space, fundamental place. That's the number one, if you may. It's number one in a sense that that's the fundamental. If we are Zen practitioners, that's something that we are stemming from. We are coming from this unborn. That's why this practice is so challenging. There are so many other alternatives in what comes to practicing Buddhism, for example. But in our lineage, we truly climb up to 3 from the top, as I remember Sante Rossi once said. We come from the other direction. We come from the top. That's very strange way to climb up the tree. Or as I think he described, or Kanye Rossi once, that we dive deep to the bottom of the Prasna lake. We touch the bottom there and then we come up. So, and that is of course, that asks the most, or asks a lot of training. We come from the world outside, so to speak, and we participate for Sesshin. It's kind of an intense place that where we come from for most of us. There's so many possibilities to use and split your days into different kind of practices, duties and tasks, and also wants different. There's so many things that we can want to have, and we also spend a lot of time for those things so that we can get them finally. There's a lot of going on. It would be nice to say that then we come to Sesshin and it's kind of easy here. It is definitely a break from the where we are usually spending our hours. This is a break from that. But Sesshin also has its own turbulences and twists and ups and downs. But this is the place where we can truly do the practice the practice why this temple is built. This temple, this Lammi, for example. This is the temple that we can do the work. In order to touch, like Buddha did, the ground, and not be blown away by different emotions and ideas and concepts and fears. None of us is immune for those things. But year after year, or round after round, breath by breath, we get accustomed. We finally, it's like this spear, is it pronounced spear, that is mentioned. It's very well to open new territory and extend your lands with horse and spear. That's what we are doing. We are opening new territory. We are extending our lands. And we need spears and horses. Who is this person who can be master in any place and meet the source in everything? Who's the master? Is it you? Yes, it is you. So for today, we might stop here, and we continue tomorrow, and now we will make 3 prostrations.